everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rouge Rugby podcast. My name is Dan Murphy, and with me always is fantastic Derek Brissett. Derek, we're down a man. Our good friend, Mr. Stuart Hardy, is unfortunately not with us. Stu got a new job, so he will be kind of in and out of the lineup, dealing with an upper body injury, as they like to say in the business. No, but we wish Stu the best luck. He's already kind of started the job and, doing some good work. So it's just gonna be you and me tonight. It's going back to like the olden days.
Yeah, so like, what are we saying? Stu's week to week with an upper body injury?
Week to week with an upper body injury.
The upper body injury is that he needs money and shelter and food and stuff. Is that's the injury?
Well, I guess where does he keep his wallet? Like if he's like a coat, like chest wallet guy.
Do people do that?
Yeah, I know guys that specifically keep, like, just out of paranoia, whenever they wear a jacket, they'll put it there.
What if you're just wearing like a t-shirt?
Then they have like a money clip. And then they keep it like.
I don't think people do this, Dan. This seems ridiculous to me.
No, honestly.
Man, that's just like, I don't know. That's just all right. Whatever. Sure. I mean, do what you want to do. I'm not complaining, but I mean, that's not. That just seems odd. Seems like you're limiting your possible wardrobe to just shirts.
Always have a shirt pocket.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, it seems like you're limiting. Like you couldn't wear this Arrows jersey with by keeping your wallet up there. Yeah. Where do you tuck it in? You pull like the.
You can invest in a fanny pack. Like all the kids wear their fanny packs up here now. Like you strap it around. So you can do that.
I don't feel like I can pull off a fanny pack. I don't go with the fanny pack turtleneck combination, like the Rock back in the day.
That would be sweet. I wear when I was at work. Right now schools are shut down, but I wore a fanny pack at work. Like my hand sanitizer, my masks.
Did you do that before you needed hand sanitizer and a mask all the time? Or
no, God no. Although like post pandemic, I might. Is it?
Oh, it just got comfy. It
just became part of like the lifestyle.
It's part of you now.
Fanny. Yeah,
the fanny pack's part of you now.
Yeah, it's part of one of my limbs.
Oh, wow.
All right. Let's talk about.
Kids at school make fun of you for wearing a fanny pack or no?
No, they're like grade 2, 3. They don't.
Those are the most ruthless kids, though. They're honest.
No. Grade 5, 6 is the worst.
Oh, that's the ruthless one. So do those
because the grade 7, 8s are given like a little bit of responsibility within the school, so they are kind of kept in check, and they also know that they're going to grade 9 next year. So any guff they give, it's going to be dished out to them. And then like the kindergartners are just there for fun, like that. Kindergartners and grade 1, 2s. The grade 2, 3s, they start to get a little bit of an attitude, but they like respect you enough that they're not going to toe that line yet.
They fear you, Ed.
I'm a 6'1", like 230-pound dude. Like I am a towering menace over these little children.
I'm proud of you for being able to scare children, Dan. That's probably not something you should be advertising on a publicly available podcast.
Listen, sometimes you need to use your adult voice, and with my stature, it just carries a little bit better. That's just all I'm saying. Anyways, we're getting off. We need to talk about another fantastic Toronto Arrows game. It was a thrashing once again, making Rooney look quite silly. Derek, what? This is. We always have this problem. If the Arrows lose, we have a hard time trying to figure out what went well, and if they win, we have a hard time saying what needs improving. But what went well in that game? Because it was kind of there were a few things, but all in all, a really good game from the Arrows.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to really complain about anything when you win your second game in a row by scoring 7 tries, over 50 points, and win by 40 plus again.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't set the record for the biggest margin of victory, so I mean, like, come on, guys, what are you doing? But it's man. I mean, it was a great game. The offense, the attack. What Rob Howley, man, he's working some wonders with the boys there, because that was just clicking on every level. Obviously, kind of like the highlight of it, I guess, is like the Montero hat trick. But they scored 7 tries, but they scored 7 tries, and like none of the tries looked the same.
Yeah,
they were, what I mean? Like they came off of like they were scoring tries off of set piece at the scrum. They scored a try off, set piece at the line out. They scored a try off a Rooney put in on the scrum where this
Yeah.
they won the ball against the feed and then scored there too. How else did they score? They scored that Adams crossfield kick to Montero that just
Oh,
caught.
it caught the team napping. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
exactly.
wild.
Clearly, Adams was watching the LA San Diego
Yeah,
game
he's
the
just
night
like,
before.
yeah,
Uh,
Cardi did well with that. I'm gonna see
yeah,
if I can
exactly.
do
It's
it
like, oh,
too.
hey, that worked. I can do that. I think, yeah, it's like his kick was a little bit better though, too, because like Montero literally just caught that in the in goal area and
And
knocked
had to
it down.
wrestle Luke Hume off of him, which I mean,
Yeah,
when you're Montero, it's like what is he,
yeah.
six
That's why you put,
four, two 240? Like he's an absolute animal. You don't
yeah. You
you're
think
not
you're
shaking,
intimidating, Dan? There's, yeah,
yeah, he's got a couple more inches on me.
yeah, yeah, exactly, and probably a few more pounds of actual muscle.
Actual muscle. Oh yeah, no, this is like subs and burgers and poutine and stuff. This isn't muscle yet.
Yeah, no, exactly. He probably eats healthy and drinks a lot of mate or something.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it's like that crossfield kick. You had Montero. Montero scored a try off a line out that didn't even work. I mean, if you like, so like it just went awry, and then the Arrows somehow managed to recover the ball anyways, and that ended up being a play where the Arrows scored off of two. Mirez kind of was a line out, and then they just ran through the phases. I can't remember exactly how many phases, but it was just excellent, just ball retention, getting Rooney's defense moving back and forth, having them scramble. Eventually, Lesage had the line break, and then the crazy kind of like over the head offload to Mirez for the try.
Yeah.
Um, Higgins too, like we talked about.
Sorry, when you were talking about his line break, that was the one I thought you were talking about. The
Oh yeah, no.
Higgins
So
try.
like, okay. So yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's like there's so many highlights in this game. It's like Ben Lesage I thought was amazing
Yeah.
in this game. Like this might be his best game, probably his best game in an Arrows jersey.
I'm finding,
Like,
I'm thinking like I'm going back to my like real focus into Canadian rugby really started with the repechage in 2018
yeah, yeah,
for the World Cup. And Ben came off the bench in the first game against Kenya and really kind of took that 13 jersey for the rest of the tournament. And he played really, really well. But I visualized to Ben back in that tournament and just how much bulk he's put on, and it has not taken anything away. I look back at like a game last year, and it's like he has really opened up offensively,
oh yeah, oh
and he's just added another kind of like danger to him. Like he had some really really nice passes, like him to Dan Moore a couple times, putting him away. But like he's just so much more of a threat, and these last two games have really shown that he has been playing out of his mind. And we talk about how like Lucas Rumball is like too good for the Arrows and like MLR, and he's another team of the week honors, and I think it's the same for Lesage. And we had DTH Vandermerver on the show, and he said that Ben Lesage is too good for Major League Rugby. Like he
yeah.
deserves
Yeah,
a contract in Europe. And like after watching Ben these last couple weeks, I got to agree with him. Like he looks good.
yeah. I
Like
mean,
that only bodes well for Rugby Canada. But like holy moly,
oh man, yeah, no, like I mean, we are talking about a guy too. Is like he made the World Cup squad as an amateur too, right? Like
yeah.
without even having pro games under his belt, he was on the World Cup squad and stuff. And just out of like UBC.
Hmm.
And I think like looking at this game too, like we can talk about him with like the ball in hand and stuff, the line breaks, the offloads, even like on that mon, the first was it Tukale? The first try, Tukale had the first try,
Yeah.
right? And it was like he kind of ran that line alongside Tukale that just sucked in the two Rooney defenders, which opened up the gap for Tukale to just go through, right? And that's part of what makes him so good too is because it's the stuff he does away from the ball. But even on defense, like he had 7 tackles, he had a breakdown steal in this game too. This is like he's got a couple breakdowns, he's got a few breakdown steals on the year too. He had that amazing one where he literally just didn't even tackle George Barton last week, just took the ball out of his hand.
Oh, just stripped it from him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like clean, like didn't even bother to hit him. It's just like, give me the
Yeah.
ball and turn up field again. And and he was doing that again this week. Yeah, just unreal. But it was like, yeah, like the line breaks to like set up Mirez try. The massive line break off the restart following Montero's third try, right? And this fun. It's actually kind of funny. Remember how last week everyone was kind of circulating the video with when he hit Sema and then helped
Oh,
like
yeah.
a really
Just
good hit
just
too, like that
strong hit.
probably
Yeah.
hurt, and he like helped Sema up after, and it's all like and everyone was like, the video kind of circulated being like, like how polite like Ben Lesage is and how like that's like the meaning of rugby. I was and everything, which is true. Um, but like, did you see how on that try? So like Lesage kind of like Foden, fair play to him, man. That was a good tackle to stop Lesage from scoring initially.
Yeah.
Right. So Lesage kind of runs over Foden. Higgins just picks up the ball and scores. And then instead of celebrating with Higgins, Lesage helps Foden get back up
Yeah.
or whatever. So
It's
it's like,
just the ultimate.
yeah,
He's just
it's a
the
good.
ultimate definition of class. Like he just is. What I think we can go on and on about that
Man,
game and what went
I mean,
well.
yeah, we have an Arrows podcast. Our whole thing is going on
Yeah,
and on about that
exactly.
game.
But what about what needed improving? And I want to talk about one thing that I felt like really needed work, and we talked about it in our chat, and it was the line out in the first half
Yeah,
was not great.
yeah,
And it goes back to something that we got excited about at the beginning of the season, and then it was kind of a problem last year. Near the end of the season, teams were starting to figure out the Arrows line out, and especially in that Glendale game, it was a big problem because really they had three targets, but really it was just two. It was Romball and De La Vega. They don't really have a jumping lock. Like I think what
no.
Cellini had
Well,
like
that's what
one,
Adrian Wadden is.
and that's
Like
exactly
that's
so
why
that's what he was
he
excited about, right?
yeah.
Like that's what we were excited about having one on the team because he was
And I mean,
a much better option. I really
Milazzo
noticed it.
in 2019, like Milazzo was one of the best guys in the league at just getting lineout steals,
Yes,
despite the fact that he's like 6'1" and not your typical like the guy you want going up in the
for
lineout.
sure.
But
Um, um,
like yeah, 2019 the Arrows made it work, but
my point is that I really noticed it in the first half when it was Shepard and Cellini as the locks
yeah,
and
because
not being as big of a jumping option. And then you have to rely on sometimes Diana, Rumball, De La Vega. But a part of the think the lineup got better with Quatron also coming in throwing the ball too. Maybe it's just more experience with MLR competition and the team's a little bit more familiar about how he throws the ball as well. But I think that if I'm going to look at one thing and say needs improving, it was definitely the line out, especially in the first half. It's got to get better. You're going to start playing teams. Next we've got Nola and Kyle Bailey is a line out hawk. He did that a lot in the Nola game against the Rugby ATL. I was watching the game this morning. He was making um, a lot of hard throw-ins from his team look easy. So Adrian Wadden solved that a lot by being another option, and
but out in the
um,
lineup right now,
he's out of the lineup right now. So
or wasn't in the lineup against Rooney.
I'm
But
curious to see if Mason Fleisch maybe they're still a little concerned about how much time he can play with his age, but I liked what I saw of him out of the starting
yeah,
against
I thought he was
Seattle.
good. I thought he was good against Rooney too. It was just
Yeah,
the
so
limited.
I don't know
He
that
just didn't start. I mean, I thought Shepard and Cellini both played well. They just bring a different skill set. Obviously,
exactly, and
Shepard's
it's
big
something that
play of the game was the charge down try, and then
yeah, for sure.
that started another argument about whether or not the MLR should have TMO. And
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. That was well, there was a
that
couple of
also
things in that game, and then also I don't know if it was the LA game. There's another game where
there's a couple. I feel like there's a free like enough instances. I mean, I I still think it's probably just a financial thing, but even
for
like
sure.
Derek Summers was kind of like when he went to when Shepard had his charge down, and then him and McManus kind of were racing and scrambling for the ball, and you can definitely tell like the ball's hitting bodies because as it's moving back into the in goal area, and then
Yeah.
it's like I mean that it's a tough spot. Like even Summers I think said who's like
If I could, I would.
I can't look at it again.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I think I saw Shepard ground that, so I'm giving it a try. And it is what it is. I mean, Summers doesn't have the benefit of watching that on replay, slow motion, multiple angles, so he's got to
Mhm.
call what he sees, and that's what he saw. I mean, maybe I'm complaining about it less because it went in the Arrow's favor, but
And
what?
also, like, at the grand scheme of things, that's one try that you would have taken away from Toronto, and they still would have won. You
Yeah,
can talk about momentum, you know, however much you want, but in the end of the day, um, it didn't change the outcome. I'm not saying that, like, going back to my point, I'm not saying that Shepard and Cellini, they both had really
oh yeah,
strong
no,
games.
Shalini was,
Really liked what I saw from both the guys. It's just,
yeah.
if that's the lineup you're going with, if you want to have Shepard and Cellini in your lineup until Wadden's back, or even if Wadden's back and you want Watt on the bench, it's just something that you're gonna have to be aware of and cognizant of, because near the end of the season last year, like, again, like I mentioned with Colorado, and they had problems with Atlanta in 2020 with the line out.
Mhm.
It's just another thing you have to take in consideration. You've got less options, so you might need to get more creative or more accurate. I don't know.
See,
That's my my nitpick of a
yeah. Well, I
50
agree. I mean,
52 point win.
I agree. I think it was like like you said. I mean, when you win by plus 40 and score 7 tries over 50 points, like as you said, you're nitpicking things at this point. Um, I would agree though. I think the biggest see here's the thing. It's like looking like statistically, it was like the Arrows had like 11 lineouts in the game, and they lost 3 of them. So that's 73%, which obviously 73% is not a great number. But if you actually kind of look at the way the game went, all 3 of those lineouts came like in a row early in the first half, or like midway through the first half, where it was just like, an untidy bad throw from Mick Rogers. Then there was another kind of like, just I think Savetta kind of disrupted it. Savetta had just a straight up outright steal, catching the ball and playing it down to
Yeah.
McManus. But
Also, like, it's Nick Savetta.
Savetta, yeah, Savetta,
His
you got to
he's
bring your
one of
lineup game, yeah.
one of New York's, or one of the US's best locks, one can say, of all time.
Yeah, no, for
So,
sure.
that it has did play a big role in what happened.
But the counter is that Rooney's lineup wasn't that great in this game either, which is bad for them because that's their bread and butter.
That's Oh yeah. I
But
thought the Arrows did very well
see,
on the
that was the one thing.
defensive
It's
end
like I
ball.
think the Arrows. I think it was interesting. It's like I know, like I said, it's like those 3 missed lineouts came like pretty much back to back, and then it settled down for the rest of the game, and it was good for the rest of the game.
Hmm.
When like once it settled down a little bit, De La Vega got targeted a lot more. But I think if you kind of look at it, I thought the Arrows just had an interesting lineout tactics throughout the game, anyways, because like right from the get go, you kind of had early on when Rooney got their like lineouts about what 6-7 meters out from the Arrows in goal. The Arrows weren't contesting lineouts the
No.
entire game, right? They did not contest. I don't believe they contested a single lineout through the whole game, right? Because it's like I think you look at Rooney, as good as Rooney is, it's like everyone knows like if it goes to a lineout, like they're mauling it because they're one of the best in the league at doing it. So why wouldn't you do it? That's why I like Dylan Fawcett's like one of the top try scorers in the league, is because Rooney uses
He's
their
just a
maul.
driver of the bus.
Yeah, the Rooney uses the maul and they run over people.
I will say,
And
if we're talking Dylan Fawcett, I forgot how much he likes to kick. And so seeing him kick in this game, he had like a clearance kick that was actually
yeah,
like pretty good. I'm like, I forgot about that, and it
it's a
just
good
gave me
skill
a good
set to
hearty chuckle.
have. But like I thought it was interesting because it was like the Arrows kind of they would set up, they would just defend the mall, and they kind of also had like Rumball kind of positioned off to the side. So every time Fawcett or whoever was back there tried to break off, they just got smoked by Rumball
Hmm.
when it came off. So I thought, and I mean, realistically, like Rooney scored their first try. They had like the line out maul. It like the Arrows were able to stop. The Arrows just prepared for the maul. They didn't bother throwing and putting a guy up. They were actually able to stop the maul. Fawcett peeled off, and went for, the line. Rumball made a really nice tackle on him, and I'm sure we can talk about how Lucas Rumball is the greatest player in the history of rugby later on. Um, but he makes the tackle, and then Rooney had to work through the phases a little bit, and then they eventually put it back through the hands, and Hume scores in the corner. But it was like Toronto really made them work for that try, and then but after that, like Rooney's maul did nothing the whole game, right? Like their biggest weapon was completely neutralized by this tactic that the Arrows decided to go with,
Yeah.
and
I think another really interesting tactic was the kicking. I mean, you look at the kicking meters for a team that held most of the possession in the game, they had almost double the kicking meters.
well, helps when you get the ball
Than-
back after you kick it.
exactly,
Yeah.
and
Which they
Mike,
did really well against Seattle last week too, with Brody's box kicks and stuff. So
yeah,
like it's that,
Mike Petrie pointed out, and he's just like they are tactically kicking into those spaces where Rooney is not, you
it's not
know,
there.
it's not there, and they are winning the ball over or forcing them to kick the ball out and getting the possession again. So
Yeah.
it was a definite
But
sign
that
of
was
intent from the Arrows.
oh man, which try was I'm trying to remember. There's so many tries. I'm trying to remember what try was actually scored. No, that was the Montero try with the crossfield kick was they put I think it was Tukale kicks it into the space, right? It hits the grass. Foden is
Foden
running
gets it.
over cover, and Lesage like just booked it down the field. Foden gets to the ball first, picks it up, and Lesage is there to just wrap him up. And Foden's like, you have no choice. You either just give Lesage the ball and he
Yeah,
hops over and scores, or you just take the penalty and let your defense kind of reset. But then that's when they caught Rooney because all the Rooney guys were coming back, and
they thought there was going to be a line out. Yeah, they
yeah, and then
obviously were getting
Adams
ready for
kicked it
that.
across the field to Montero, right? So it was like you use that kick chase too, and you're getting the ball when you're kicking it, you're putting the ball into space, right? You're putting the back three, in this case Ben Foden, under a lot of pressure,
Mhm.
right? And then you're putting him under a lot of pressure, and that's you're able to get either get the turnover, get the steal, or you're drawing penalties on the ensuing breakdown because your kick chase is the guys that arrive there first, right? So that's I mean that's how you like it's working. Like their tactics are working well. Um, we can even like get into like the back line too. Just looked like some of the stuff, it was like it kind of almost looked like a training drill off some set piece plays sometimes where
Yeah, for
just
sure.
but it was like they were attacking with like I said, like there's just every time I feel like every time Brody or Adams gets the ball in their hand, there's like six options for them. Maybe not six. Six might be an exaggeration. But it's like every time they get the ball in hand, they have options, right? And it's just comes down to their decision making to be like, I'm going to pick the best option to do this right now. And that started opening up a whole bunch of holes
Mhm.
for Toronto to exploit and Toronto to get all the big line breaks and stuff. And looking at like the stats and stuff over the course of the game here, like yeah, like Toronto had what I mean? Toronto had 11 line breaks to Rooney's 4,
4. Yeah.
right? Like they were dissecting the defense. Just Adams did really well, Brody did really well.
Yeah,
Um,
61% of possession is kind of the telltale of it all. They just
but it's not even just that you had possession too, though. You had 63% of the territory. It's not even
yeah,
that you had the ball. You had the ball
the
in
ball,
Rooney's
and you
half.
made sure that they did not leave.
Yeah, exactly. You
There were very few times. I think if we're gonna look at guys that were impressed me off of New York, um, it was really their subs, Evan Minter and Kyle Sumption. Like
oh man, they
they made a
Andy
huge
Ellis.
impact. Andy Ellis too, which I'm baffled why with when you have Seattle the next game, why like
Yeah,
Craig American RFC in his Monday
he
morning
changed. He
fly
changed
half.
his thing to Monday Morning Fly Half. He
Yeah,
changed the
Monday
Twitter handle. The Twitter handle is all now reflecting the brand. He
the
got
brand.
yeah.
So his Monday morning fly off post, he mentioned about how why did they not start Andy Ellis against the Arrows? Like this is an Eastern Conference matchup. You've got Seattle next week. If it's a rest thing, rest them against Seattle. Don't rest them against your Eastern Conference rivals. Guys, you've got a rivalry of
That was
guys that you are close with in the standings. So unless there was an injury, but he played great. So
oh yeah, he played great, but it wasn't even Andy Ellis though. It's like that was a completely new look backline.
yeah,
Like Rooney hasn't rolled out. Like this was like Lockyer and Nawadi in the centers, right? So that hasn't been a combination yet this year. Kakabolavu, Hume, and Foden in your back three. Like the
yeah.
only guy that was there that started last week in his position, I think,
What's their
was Holland
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah.
right?
They mentioned that at the start of the broadcast.
Yeah, right. So that like yeah, I'm not too sure why they went with that route.
Mm-hmm.
But again, though, I mean, it's one of those things too, though, where it's like if Rooney wins this game, we don't even talk about that.
Yeah,
Like that's not even a thing of
for
discussion.
sure.
But it's like, but they lost, so now it is.
Yeah,
Um, I think though, from honestly though, um, I mean, I do want to talk about Lucas Rumble, but I'll diverge to Rooney for a little bit, just so it's not
yeah. Who
straightforward.
impressed you from before we go into the arrows? Who impressed you from Rooney?
Dude, I thought Quinn Nawadi was their best player
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
this
say, you
game.
know what?
I
This was his best game where he didn't score a try, and I honestly thought he looked a lot better in this game than he did last week, where he did score a try.
I thought he
He
did.
had a
I don't know
couple
if that's because
really.
he was playing center, and that's because
He's a
he's
little
more
bit more
used to center.
natural in that position.
So Nawadi had he led Rooney in tackles with 13, had the most carries with 11, the most meters made at 104, four defenders beaten, three offloads. Rooney, I saw Rooney actually tweeted out today a bunch of stats, like meters, carries, offloads, tackles, all that stuff. And like Nawadi's like in like the top three on their team in like the majority of categories. He's playing 80 minutes a game. Like you said, like he didn't score a try today, but when he was on the wing, he was scoring tries. And I mean, but I mean, like that's like he went obviously like playing like 12 like hit like with Lockyer, like he went head to head with Parfrey and Lesage, and like we're
Mm-hmm.
sitting here being like Lesage got man of the match and was one of the best players. Parfrey was player of the week before too, and it's like
Yeah,
he more than held his own in this game, like playing against those guys.
yeah, and you know what? Full credit to Quinn.
Yeah, man,
I
this
think he had a
he was unreal.
strong game. I had the same answer. I think that he played really well. Again, I mentioned the two guys that came off the bench and made the impact, Minturn and
Yeah.
Sumption. They were beasts when they were carrying the ball when they were given the opportunity. I mean, I think you're going to say Rumble, but who impressed you from the Arrows? Because I actually have a different answer, and I don't know if you're going to know who I'm
No,
going to
no,
talk about.
no. It's completely fair for you to have a different answer than this
No, I know.
than Lucas
I
Rumble.
don't know if you're going to get who I'm going to talk about because it actually who I'm going to say also has something that I want to talk about because I had someone come after our Twitter account about Canadian eligibility. So I want to you
All right,
go
now I'm
first.
curious because I did not see that. So now I want to
Okay,
know who you.
so this guy T McGee 88. When I was talking about how and we'll talk about him later. Robbie Povey seems to be the first option fly half. He started kind of going off about um, how Rugby Canada and the Arrows and other leaders in Rugby Canada continue to write and support eligible Canadians versus Canadians who have been in developed through the pathway. Sad to see that the pathway isn't the actual way to represent our nation. And then he talks about Will Kelly, totally forgetting about the time where Will Kelly was overseas training with an academy.
Wait, so
But we'll forget about that. But
wait.
I want to talk about Ross Brody because I think Ross
Oh,
Brody,
he was unreal again.
he was
Wait, is he
unreal.
complaining that people that are that
I
are
think
eligible for Canada are playing well? I'm confused.
he's basically what he's complaining about is that the Arrows are giving guys like Taylor Adams a shot
Yeah, I want to win an
over
MLR.
over
So
and that's what the point I made. I'm like,
yeah,
it is not the and I want to say this to everyone listening to the show. It is not the Toronto Arrows' main goal to put out players for Rugby Canada. It is one of their focuses, and they are very passionate about that in giving young Canadians an opportunity to play rugby at the highest level in North America. but it is not their job. Their job is they want to win a Major League Rugby Shield. So if they've got a guy who is a junior All Black, played in Super Rugby, willing to come to Canada, ply his trade, like, teach our players something new, then yes, they're going to sign him, and he has been amazing this season. He's leading the league in points. You want you want Will Kelly to play? You're going to take out the leader in points in the league? Are you insane? T.McGee 88. I love that you seem to be a very passionate fan of the rugby pathways. It's not going to happen overnight, dude. Like, Will Kelly has talent up the wazoo. He has shown he is going to be a fantastic rugby player. He is still young. He's got to learn. He's going to have to fight for that opportunity. The Arrows have said time and time again that they are going to give guys who train hard and show that they are ready to play, that they are going to get their opportunities. That is why we are seeing Ross Brody and Jason Higgins play. They are taking those opportunities and they are rolling with them. We love Andrew Ferguson on this podcast. We've had Andrew Ferguson on the show. We support him every time he goes on the pitch. He's a great scrum half. Right now, the Arrows have two hot hands that they're going to play. And I'm sorry if it doesn't make you feel comfortable that they're not trained in Canada. They are eligible. They are Canadians.
That's all. It's
like,
yeah, no, it's yeah. That, like,
how do you look at a guy who's got 4 tries in Jason Higgins, and you look at how Ross Brody is managing the games that he is, and say, I want to take those guys out for Andrew. Again,
no, it's
Andrew also, like, and I got it. We also have to acknowledge that maybe Andrew got the short end of the stick of having to play behind a rusty Arrows team.
Oh, like
that's something we also have to acknowledge, is like,
the
yeah, like,
scrum half position is not a problem. It's some amazing luxury to have.
Yeah, but to this
3 guys that you know are fully
international Canadians.
No, that's hey man. If you're eligible, you're Canadian. That doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Would you tell DTH to screw off? Gordon McRory, like, we've got so many guys that have made the program better because
I don't. I mean, the all-time
Robbie Povey is British.
Yeah, the all-time leading try scorer for Canada's not born here. So
no, he came here when he was a teenager.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's I think yeah.
Anyways, I just got frustrated, and I'm like, I can't tell you anymore, Team McGee 88, that these guys, if they're going to get their opportunities, they need to show it.
It helps. That's the whole argument of like that's been happening. It's like the foreign player thing, right? It's like foreign players help the overall development of everybody, right? You have guys on your team that are training. Like, I mean, like, yo, like, how psyched are we to have like Michael Smith is a flanker on the same team with Rob Shaw.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't think he's gonna learn a lot. Like, look how good he played in just 2 minutes this week, too. Like,
yeah,
you don't think he's gonna learn a lot from Rob Shaw on San Diego? It's gonna be amazing. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think right now, like, you look at the Arrows roster, I mean, the way Adams is playing, it's, might be a challenge for Kelly to get in, but that doesn't mean Kelly's not learning and developing and working and stuff.
Of course, if we have the the ability to loan him somewhere, or
keep them all, go win a Shield. That's how you're gonna. I think that's the thing.
I know the depth is going to play a big role in it, but like, yeah, no, I want Will Kelly to play, is what I'm saying. I want, for his development, I want him to play, but at the same time,
everyone's
being in an environment that's winning
helps.
What's better? Yeah, what's better for a player, being in an environment that's winning and seeing guys like Tucolette and Montero and Adams, and then you also have guys like Patrick Parfrey.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Huge influence on
it's
on
not too, and it's like, we know, like, the Arrows are one of the more like domestic teams in the league, as far as, like,
for sure, they
have like the vast majority of the team is Canadian, right? It's just, there's a couple guys that come in for the reinforcements, and Like those are guys that you need to make the run at the Shield and stuff, right?
And at the end of the day, Canada just does not have the fly half depth. We've never had it. Like
No, yeah, that's the
Gareth Reese was like the first like Canadian bred fly half that really made any waves anywhere. Other than that, most of our fly halves have been, you know,
I think, yeah, like I think fly half will be interesting when it comes to like the selection and stuff. I mean, I think obviously, Povey's playing well. He had a hat trick this week, but I think Povey's playing, like Kelly's going to be there too. And I mean, Kelly's played well in the games that he's got in this season too. I think he's still 100% for kicks technically. So I mean, that's obviously a good thing. But yeah, like, I mean,
anyways, I got onto a tangent.
You got onto a big tangent there.
Yeah,
Ross Brody. You were upset that Ross Brody, this guy, didn't like Ross Brody because he was
look at his kicking ability. Look at his tackling ability is fantastic. Look at his decision making. Like I remember distinctly there was a line out where like it just was all hell, and Brody was able to regather the ball after it was tipped like a couple meters back and bring it in and actually make a gain in possession. Like he has been a fantastic revelation for the Arrows, and like it or not, Twitter bot dude, I have no idea who you are. He's going to be playing for Canada in some fashion.
Oh, he definitely,
unless he gets hurt or has been deemed ineligible somehow.
Or I mean, Will Percillier is playing pretty damn good too. So, scrum half might be tough. I think, but yeah, I mean, I think the Arrows do an unreal job developing the Canadian talent and stuff. And it's just, just because you're not from here initially doesn't mean you're not Canadian. It's all, that's kind of the beautiful thing about this country, right? So yeah, Brody's playing amazing. Higgins playing amazing too. I think the guy that impressed me the most, again, like, Lucas Rumball's the best player in the league, right? Like, is that a firm statement now that we can just constantly say?
Yes.
Yeah, 100% the best player in the league. He had another 3 breakdown steals. I think he's up to like 16 on the year. Like, I think there's only like 7 guys that have more than 3 breakdown steals all season. He had 3 breakdown steals in the game. It's, he's playing. Yeah, he's just, like, there's nobody. I don't think that I don't think if there is a guy in the league that can hang with Lucas Rumball at the breakdown, we have not found him yet. He might maybe pops up later down the road in the season, but like, Rumball's been amazing. And I think like oh my God, like the Arrows back row is, like, if I think Rumball's the best player in the league. The Arrows back row is the best back row in the league probably by like a decent margin too. I think they kind of show that against Rooney because they like lit up. Like, you look at it, it's like De La Vega, Rumball, Diana, all top 3 in tackles. They made a combined 33 tackles on a combined 34 attempts. I'm not going to single out the guy that missed his tackle, but whatever. When you go 33 for 34, we can let it slide. But like, they have that. Manuel Diana just like 131 meters too with the ball in hand in this game, right? De La Vega and Diana both had the 2 most carries on the team, and obviously Diana, like I said, 131 meters gained. Like, it's just an immense total. They hit they're at like every single ruck, every single breakdown. Rumball stealing balls. If Rumball steals the ball, he gives it to Diana and he gains 20 meters immediately. De La Vega's taking the line out takes. It's like they're just putting on just an absolute clinic right now. I like the Arrows backline just playing out of their minds, man. Like, and like, I don't know how you stop that. I don't know if a team can figure out a way to stop that. Rumball's lead on the breakdown steal category is like genuinely laughable.
Yeah.
Like the amount, I think you have to have like combine like the totals of the guy in second, third, and fourth to catch run ball right now. Um, like it's just he's just playing like he's playing out of his mind. And so are Del Vega and Diana too. And like even like I want to even say like you're sitting there being like like you know Cellini had an unreal game. He with just like how his work rate was just immense. So was Cole Keith. Cole Keith was at a lot of rucks too, but it's just like the like it's just every time Rumball's there, it's
Yeah, and
turned
they're
over.
they're really starting to figure out, like, if we're talking about the forwards, they're really starting to figure out the scrum as well,
Yes, and
which has been
so
great.
that was I guess another thing that we were talking about earlier with like the slight lineout tactic change too. They went with instead of going to lineouts again this week off penalties, they were opting for scrums and kicking for points too. And I don't know if that was just part of that strategy to be like avoid Rooney's lineout a little bit,
Hmm.
right? Or make Rooney go to the game. But it was like, yeah, like they won the scrum, they won some penalties on plays. And they won a scrum against the feed that set up a try immediately. And that was with the reserve guys in too, right? Like that was Lineout, Quattrin, and Cortez that won that one. And then it's kind of it seems like yeah, like if they get that scrum going again, or if they, I think the new laws were an adjustment for a lot of the teams in the league, but I think like any new law that gets introduced in any sport, you give the coaching staff and the players time to figure it out,
I'll figure it out
and they'll figure it out. They'll figure
for
out how to
sure.
make it work, how to take advantage of it, um, how to play within it and stuff. It's just
Takes
it
time.
takes time. Um, Even think I saw even Jamie McIntosh in Austin still tried to call for a scrum after the second scrum.
Big
Oh, he
Wappa.
brought up a good point because they won a penalty on a Seattle scrum. Um,
Yeah.
but that I digress. That's we feel like we've beaten that one to a keep beating the dead horse on that one. But it's yeah, like the man, I don't know if the back row keeps ticking like this, where it's like just turnover, turnover, turnover.
And like
Smash the
look at
ball
look
through
at
your
some of the guys that they've got. You've got Shepard who can slot into the back row. And then you also have Wainwright, who's been coming
Wainwright.
off the
Yeah,
bench the last couple of weeks, and he's been playing well coming off the bench. We also have Vicky Lonnie, who's
yeah.
I think should be coming back pretty soon. He's
I
day
think
to day. So
yeah, with
you've got guys that are hungry, and they are ready to prove themselves. So you know
with
they got to play well, because they got guys that are saying we are putting our hands up to play. We
for sure
want some action.
with how much I don't know. I think
And
with
Colby
how
Francis.
yeah, and Colby Francis too.
Okay.
With how much like I guess the Toronto Arrows, some of the Arrow staff, with how excited they seem about Siaki Vikilani, um, that is the one thing I think I'm looking forward to the most
Oh
this
yeah.
season right now.
Yeah, I
Is
want to see him.
I hope he gets healthy soon, and I want to see him in the lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, gonna come off the bench because again, Lucas Rumball, Thomas De La Vega, Manuel Diana is the current back row.
I know, but if you
So
build up a little bit of lead in the standings, like if the Arrows ring off a
I don't
couple,
think you're gonna get I don't think you're gonna get a big lead in the standings. Not that like this year, like look at the East right
I don't
now,
know.
man.
I'd like to see what you got. All right,
Well,
well, Derek,
I would like to see it too, but I think like obviously I would love to see Vicky Lonnie, and I would love to see the Arrows get a big lead. I made the bold proclamation on my Layman Sports write up that they won't be below 500 again this season. So
that
I
is
mean,
bold.
yeah, that's a bold one. But especially probably a little bold based on like the season. Like I mean, you look at
Also,
the
their
East,
next two teams they have to play.
which is
Who I want to talk
Nola,
about
and
is
then who's after Nola?
Rugby ATL.
Ah, that'll be
All
fine.
right, awesome. All right, well, let's.
How great. There's we'll yeah, I guess we'll get into some good vibes coming from Life University and Loophole Family Field though, eh? Like the two ATL based teams right now, top of the Eastern
Doing pretty
Conference
well. Yeah,
standing.
it's the home cooking there.
But how crazy is it though? Like looking at the East, that the two like a 500 team is at the top of the East. The only team that's above 500 is Rooney, and they're third. Um, because they're 3-2.
Tied. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's so weird. And then you look at the West, and the West is like playoff spots
5 and
might
0.
already be locked up in
Yeah.
the
The,
West. I
the
don't know.
Giltinis and the Gilgronies are looking sharp, and it's a battle for that third spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's but it's like even like this game, like even this week, like yeah, DC beat New England, like Atlanta beat NOLA. Like it just seems like Toronto beat Rooney, right? It causes like all this. It's like it just seems like everybody's just kind of.
It's gonna
It's almost
honestly.
like
I
the
think the
East is
East
like
is gonna look like what
cannibalizing.
the 2019 playoff picture
Oh
looked like.
man, yeah,
That
that'd be
was
scary. Yeah,
that
you can't,
was crazy.
you can't. I like the East. Like you can't take a week off. Like if you take
That's
a week
fair.
off, like that could be you could be missing out on the playoffs if you do
Yeah.
that.
Well, let's talk about one of those Eastern matchups quickly. Um, Rugby ATL beat NOLA 38-28. Um, I thought Matt Heaton had a really strong game. Um, Great seeing him pull off some of those offloads and stuff like that, and playing a little bit more. Normally, you don't see him kind of drift out to the wings, like that seems to be a very stereotypical loose forward play in some of these set pieces, or just kind of in broken play now in rugby. You never really saw Matt Heaton do it a lot, and I or at least I haven't noticed it. I really noticed it in this game, and he was making some sweet plays. I mentioned it earlier. Kyle Bailey was a hawk in the lineout, and he had some strong carries. Um, I think I prefer him, at the lock position. I think that's his strongest position, and Nola really benefited from that. Eric Howard came on off the bench,
Is that right?
serviceable. Pat O'Toole had a strong game, so it's, to come on to try to compare to that, it was tough.
Is that right?
And in Connor Keys,
Dude,
I honestly don't even remember what Connor Keys' game was like. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
that's
You
probably not the greatest thing if you don't remember. The
But
difference between quiet and not remembering, right?
yeah, it was a fun game to watch. Off the offense was crazy. The defense was lackadaisical at points. But I kind of prefer that type of rugby. It's just fun to watch.
Here, do you want Connor Keys' stat line?
Sure, give it
Alright,
to me.
looking at it. So 10 minutes played. He made 4 tackles and had 1 attacking ruck arrival.
There you go.
The rest is his 4 tackles for 100% though.
There you go.
But then the rest of his stat line is just zeros across the
Yeah.
board.
So
Pretty quiet.
pretty quiet.
Which
But I mean, 10 minutes. Like,
but that's the
the
thing.
end of the
It's like
game,
I
you're
think
winning.
like Heaton I thought was amazing in this game. He had 17 tackles at
Oh
100%.
my god.
Yeah, 17. Yeah, no, he's good, man. A lot like good work rate, a lot of ruck rivals on both sides of the ball. Um, like man, I'm looking at like Connor Keys. Like, I don't think if I'm Scott Lawrence, like I don't think Connor Keys is your I'm finding it hard to be like with Marno Retta Linghais and Johan
Jan
Momsen.
Momsen. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I think
when
Connor's in
and
a
why do you start Connor Keys?
yeah, but you know what? I
Like,
think it's one of those good situations for Connor. Learn from those guys, and then
yeah.
who knows how long those guys are going to be there for.
Well, they're there for this year anyways. But like Momsen and Retta Linghais were outstanding in this game. Dude, they are, especially like Retta Linghais, man. Like this was one of those like really physical, especially like in the rucks and the breakdown games. So, like
Yeah,
Retta Linghais like looks like he's one of those dudes that just loves like hitting people. Just loves that physical.
reminds me, another South African, but Snyman
Yeah.
from
And
the Springboks
you
and,
know what I mean?
Munster. Like,
Yeah, so he's got that good work rate. He hits breakdowns. He's mean. Like he does not make life fun. I think it was the reserve fullback, I think it was, where he kind of like it had a little bit of a post ruck altercation that amounted to nothing in the eyes of the ref, but it was still kind of like that's not fun to play against even.
no,
But yeah, and then like Momsen was a monster too. And yeah, like I'm just like, man, like it's weird because being like the outlook for like Connor Keys is probably like he's probably gonna find it a little difficult to get into that.
and when he started,
Especially
he's
if these
played
guys are
well.
playing well. Well,
He played well in his start. It's just
I don't necessarily think he's playing bad. Like you said, he was quiet in this game when he came on, but I just think it's like Momsen and Reda Linghais are playing so well.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't.
why would you can't.
Same thing. Same thing. We talked about the Arrows backline. They
Yeah.
play so well. Why take them
Well, yeah,
off?
that's the thing though, too. Like, yeah, you can't change that right now. Like, it
No,
is like you're putting up 7 tries a night, scoring 50 plus points. Like,
yeah,
this is your lineup. It's locked in
for
right
sure.
now. Like, um, same
Okay.
with ATL. Like, if you're winning, like, I just um Adrian Carlsay too. I think you got to touch on him. He was outstanding from
Yeah,
back.
player of the week.
Yeah, for
He
sure.
was just absolutely zooming, like
Yeah,
dog in the dog park zooming. Like
I think
he was
his
enjoying himself there.
yeah, his I think his biggest highlight. I mean, he had the good kicking game. His runs were really good. His defense is good too. I think that the one big highlight. I think the Nola. I can't remember who it was, but I think they charged down a kick, and the ball ended up back in the in goal area. And instead of just like kicking it away or doing some sort of like panic move or whatever, but like I'm not even sure if this is the best decision, but hey, it worked. He ran it out of the in goal area and gained like 60 meters.
Yeah,
He put in a little chip and chase kick too, but it was like, just yeah, he just decided to like
and
gun
the
it.
chip and chase was Nola's
The
kind of
weapon of
kryptonite in
choice,
that
really.
game. So maybe the Arrows can take advantage of that.
Yeah, Rory Van Voot, kind of yeah, Rory Van Voot had a nice little chip and chase. I think
Yeah,
like a try of the week too, or
for
whatever.
sure. I
They were
think he did.
Nola. I think that's something that's like with the Arrows playing Nola next week. I think that was something Rugby ATL did a really good job against Nola on, was what the exact thing that we were saying Toronto did a really good job against Rooney this week was kicking the ball
Yeah, they don't
in
have the most
space.
mobile back line. Like you look at
Yeah,
Meyer and Dominguez, and I forget who's on the other wing.
Jojo.
Jojo. Oh yeah, Jojo. Like they're all huge men, but they're not the most like mobile. And I think that Rugby ATL took advantage of that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's yeah, it's like yeah, I think with I think with Rugby ATL, it's like I think like that might be something like if the Arrows can do that again, like Atlanta might have shown you like a little bit of
the
a
blueprint of how to beat them.
blueprint there, yeah. And same
Okay.
man. I don't know if it's like Toronto plays Rugby ATL again in 2 weeks, which is kind of funny that it's like that quick. But like,
Hmm.
dude, that could be fun because it's like ATL's been kind of like a bit of a nasty team to play against. They've been making a lot of tackles. They have I was kind of looking at it, the most tackles made, like a team tackles made in a game right now. It's like Rugby ATL has 4 of like the top 7. Um, so and like
Players.
they've have the most tackles in like I think 3 of the 6 weeks or something like that too. They're making, but it's like even like this week, like they made 169 tackles, but they were at 90%.
Yeah.
So it's like you're making all those tackles, and they only missed 12 with nearly 170 tackles, only missing 12, right? So it's like, but they're another team though that's like they're winning games without having the ball very often. Like they're winning
And how
games.
sustainable is that? That's my real question. Is how many times can you get away with playing that type of strategy?
Ask LA because they're winning games too, doing the same without having the ball that often
Yeah.
too.
Well, I
Statistically.
think I think when it comes to them, they also have like that another level of skill compared to the rest of the West.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway,
All
speaking
right,
of
well
that,
let's
LA,
yeah,
San
speaking
Diego.
of LA, let's talk about them quickly. Let's kind of blow through some of these. LA had another strong game.
Oh yeah,
I think a lot of this also is San Diego is just not San Diego anymore. They're not. You kind of hit the nail on the head before the season. Like they're missing a lot of guys. They're missing Duplessis and Peterson hasn't been there really at all. Um, and you know what else they meant? I think they miss Luke Burton, that's now on LA.
yeah. I definitely
That's
probably missed
another
him
guy,
yesterday. Yeah,
but like he was playing fly half for them, and he played really well for San Diego. So as much as I want to give LA credit because they played really well, and DTH was amazing. You
again.
know, he had two great tries, but I think there were a lot of plays that he helped set up,
Yeah,
and he's just such a strong runner, and I love watching him play.
yeah. There was, I think, that one play, the Podoivans try, where they had the set piece,
Hmm.
and like I think it's like 5 LA backs, or it was like like Cardi Burton back inside to like DTH, and then he offloaded to like Padoivin or whatever. And it was like that play was like so quick, and like not a single Giltini got hit or
For
whatever, because the
sure.
ball was gone by the time the San Diego defense got up to
And
them.
that's just
Yeah,
precise
and
execution, knowing where you need to
exactly.
be.
Like
It was fun to
it looks like
watch.
a training run half the time.
Yeah,
Um, and then like you had that one play off the scrum too, where um Goddard kind of ran one way and then twisted around and threw it back behind him to Cardi. And I can't remember who it was on San Diego, but it's like you kind of like you could almost see him when the pass happens, just being like, well, I'm done. It's a 3-on-1. What do you want? 3-on-1 to the side of a scrum. What do you want me to do here? Like,
yeah.
this is a try.
We mentioned Michael Smith as well. He had a
Dude,
really great impact off the bench.
play him more than 2 minutes.
Yeah,
What do you do?
Curry Hitchborn was like free Michael Smith, and
Dude,
one
so
of Thiels was tweeting about it. So we want to see
he,
more of him. Give him more
yeah,
time.
so Michael Smith, he was in the lineup last week, but didn't play. Got 0 minutes. This week he comes in the 78th minute, literally has his first pro breakdown steal. I think I mean, I don't know what the official time is for when he actually comes on the pitch, but from the time he actually gets to the lineup on screen, it looks like about 8 seconds before he has his first breakdown steal.
Mhm.
Um, and then he comes out of the breakdown too, plays scrum half at the next ruck, hits the next ruck after that. That's where San Diego drew a penalty on that one. Then he has a 9-meter carry, hits another ruck after that. Um, all in just 2 minutes.
Yeah,
He was like, yeah, and he just went like Tasmanian devil for 2 minutes.
yeah.
It was
They
ridiculous.
got Viramalua at 6, Sam Muchin, who's having an amazing season at 7,
Mhm.
and Tamalau, who's their captain at 8.
Oh man, I'm not saying San Diego doesn't have good backs. I'm just saying play him more than 2 minutes a night. And
Yeah,
you've got
exactly.
something here,
Like
yeah.
starting him is kind of hard when like
Dude, he tore it up, man. He tore it.
yeah,
Good
exactly.
game.
Make him a real impact sub. Give him a chance to show him what he's got. So
Yeah, he
it
tore
was a fun game to watch. It was great to see fans in the stands at the Coliseum. From the sounds of it, it sounds like everyone had a good time. So we're
couple celebrities showed up too.
yeah, the Pussycat doll lady. Yeah, no, it looked great. Okay,
I can tell, Dan, you're up on all your pop culture news.
there you go. Utah versus Houston. The thing really that we got to talk about is Robbie Povey. He has been on fire for Houston,
Yeah.
and I think we got to talk about him quickly because I tweeted about it and I mentioned earlier that Robbie Povey, in my opinion,
Someone responded to you and you got very
yeah,
angry.
exactly. He should be the starting fly half.
Should
I
he though?
listen.
Should
I know that that they've given Sam Windsor the kicking duties, but I think
well,
we
Canada's
look
got other
back.
kids that can kick, but
Yeah, I'm saying that Robbie Povey has that strong kicking
oh,
ability,
you think he should
and
be
he's
starting fly half for Houston or for Canada?
for Canada.
Oh, mm,
Who else are we going to put? We're going to Shane O'Leary, who had a pretty good
Shane-
time, a pretty good season over in the Pro D2.
yeah, I think
You
Shane
give it,
O'Leary's there. Will Kelly, I think, is there too. I think like you kind of touched on. I think Will Kelly's only like it's. I mean, Taylor Adams is amazing. Sam Malcolm was amazing. And you know what I mean. So it's like there's, but
but like
I think like
we don't
Will
have like
Kelly would be
unless they do line up those further test matches. Like, are
good.
we going to give Will Kelly the fly half position
Sure.
for the qualifiers, the World Cup qualifiers against the US?
You might have to. Why not?
I think
Why?
I'm gonna trust someone who's got a little bit more experience
Why?
internationally and
Povey's
pro
got like
as far as
4 caps.
yeah, that's
That's
three more than Will Kelly
that's not a
does,
lot
and
though.
that's still more.
It's not a lot. I don't. I think you get. I think that's going to be the one where it's like. I think Povey and Kelly are just kind of in different situations with their MLR team. Um, but I think that's going to be one that's like that's going to be a get settled at camp. And then
for
figure out
sure.
who's going to be
Just
the fly half there. But I don't see why I couldn't. I don't like. I don't know. I'm not.
when was the last time we had and again, this is a very, very small sample size. This is a very, 2 games I'm kind of going off of. So Robbie Povey could prove me very wrong by having an absolute dead duck of a rest of the season. But if you look at the last 2 games, who is the last 10 that really gave us kind of that offensive threat for Canada?
Oh,
Like Gordon
yeah.
McRory, it's been Gordon McRory, it's been Shane O'Leary, and it's been Peter Nelson the last couple years.
Hirayama, if you go back far enough.
Hariyama,
Um,
like
I no, like I think right now fly half is like the biggest like issue, and I'm
the
sure
biggest question mark.
someone's totally gonna tweet at us with a Pacific Pride name or something that we're neglecting to mention.
Maybe,
Um,
maybe Brock Webster when he's done with the Olympics throws the jersey on and wows
that's
us. Maybe
yeah,
like I
that's
actually don't know I don't know when the qualifiers are and when the Olympics are. They
the
might
Olympics are
overlap.
in July. The qualifiers I think are going to be in September or something.
Okay, so then we should be fine. But
Um, but
long way ahead. I just want people to keep Povey in mind because
oh,
it wasn't.
I think you have to keep him in mind. I'm not ready to christen him the 10 yet,
All right, that's
because
fair.
he got. I mean, it like just because he's scoring tries in games that Houston's losing too. By the way, like you got to go with some games.
Utah was on Utah's offense. That Mika Cruze, Mikey Te'o combination is deadly, and we had some people complaining about the commentators of that game, but man,
but even that though, it's like
it was a show to watch, and
who,
I was excited by the excitement that they were oozing. It was a fun little match to watch.
yeah, who played better though, Povey or Hagen Schulte overall? Like I
I
know
don't think
Povey's got the
Hagen
pretty big
Schulte had. I don't think Hagen Schulte had. I don't think this was his best game. I think that he's had a better season, but I don't think this was Schulte's best game. I think that there were other guys in Utah that really
Oh
stirred the
man, yeah, I
drink.
guess I think that's going to be one of those games though, where like the coaches are just like, we're never watching this game film again. We just like, yeah, there's defense did not exist in that game.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fun to watch, but I'm sure both coaches will be like I mean, even if you're
Turn the tape.
Utah's probably not thrilled about allowing 43 points. And I think like Utah's decision making at the end of the game was bizarre too.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when the ball went into touch and it was like they took a quick line out with a minute left when you're up by 7. Like and then Teo kicks it to Houston. Like that's
giving them another chance.
giving them why are you giving them another shot to tie the game? I don't get that. Like I don't like even like that. It's like milk the line out. Like why are you taking a quick line out up by 7 with a minute left in the game?
For sure.
I don't know. That was
Okay.
kind of weird. It worked out for them. They still won, but weird.
Burn the tape after that game. Fun offense, defense did not exist.
Defense,
Okay.
defense didn't exist in a lot of these games.
Yeah, we're not really going to talk a whole lot about the DC. We're not going to really talk about the DC England game a lot. I mean, Josh Larson had another strong game playing at 6. I am really enjoying seeing Josh Larson do his thing as the captain. We saw a little bit of it in 2020, but 2021, it just seems like he's just a grizzled vet going into work every day. When people talk about Canadian rugby, I remember Chris Silverthorne, being interviewed about what type of style that the Arrows were going to play. It's a hard hat style rugby. We're going to take our work in. We're going to work hard. We're going to get into the dirty areas, and we're going to, la 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 la, do all the right things. When I hear that, I think of Josh Larson this year. He's just been putting in the work. He's had a couple of yellow cards here and there, but he's just done, I think, pretty well. And also my boy Dougie Fife, my rugby 20 custom team savior, has also been absolutely put him wherever you put him on the pitch. Wing, fullback, center, he's scoring tries and making plays.
That was kind of interesting because it was like they used the same play to get both those tries too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which again, it's interesting. Like as the league kind of goes on, I think you're starting to see the holes and the gaps in some teams and stuff, and then
Yeah. So, but really, they need to kind of figure things out there. It's really the Bowden Waka and Dougie Fife show. They need to have
uh,
somebody else offensively step up. Their pack is strong, and they do pretty well the set piece, but like open play, Harrison Boyle's pretty strong too. Like he's been having a good little season, and John Poland's doing his thing, but so other finishers got to step up because it can't be just those two all the time. Um, from DC, I miss Fraser and Hearn and Campbell. Seeing Kalinisau in a DC jersey is weird. I think that's my first like on another team, and that feels weird moment with MLR. I'm so used to him being in Houston's yellow and black that I'm just like, that doesn't look right. That, and I think he's our first kind of like real big name medical joker in MLR. Like I can't think of another guy that has been signed to like only like a 2 week contract that has a name like Kalinisau. Like, anyways,
yeah,
that was weird to
2 week
see. I'm
contract.
glad he got a try. Good for him.
Yeah, maybe make that contract longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then our last game, Austin versus Seattle. Man, I tell you, Derek, that first half, I really thought I was looking good with my Seattle pick.
Oh man,
I thought I just thought to myself, maybe these lineup changes worked. Like yeah, they had a couple chances where they didn't capitalize, but this is Austin. Like they're a strong defense. Maybe in the second half they'll get it back. And I'm like, oh, that Ross Neal tried. That is the Ross Neal that they paid for. Like I think that he looked great on the wing. A dynamic, and that stiff arm was epic. I mean, it was against the scrum half, I believe. So you could that's kind of like, yeah, you're like a giant man with huge arms, like that should have happened, but it was a great try. And I'm like, this looks great, great first half. You're down, but I think you can come back, and it just went boosh in the second half, which really sucked.
oh yeah.
Um, I feel for Seattle fans. I think that out of all the changes, I don't know why they changed Sears Drew and Il Nicky. I think that they've both been playing really well for Seattle, given all of the stuff that how badly the team's been playing. And they played
I
well
think
coming off the bench, but like
I think when you're what are they 1-4 now?
mhm.
Yeah, like I think when you're 1-4, you're the defending champs. You're the only champs. Like
You gotta throw
like I
stuff
don't
against the wall
necessarily
and
think
see
it's
what sticks.
indicative. I don't necessarily think it's like indicative of like the way Sears Duru and Il Nicky have been playing. Much, it's just like what you're doing right now is not working. So like
Switch it up
you gotta change it, right? Like you
for
gotta
sure.
try something, maybe some like at this point too, like you just gotta throw something at a wall and see what
See if it
sticks,
sticks.
right? And like I think
Yeah.
even that, I mean, we can, like Austin played really well too. Um,
Austin, I think, is one of my favorite teams to watch.
yeah,
I
like
think it
yeah,
goes. I
they're
think
fun.
it goes Arrows, Gilgronis. That the stuff that they do on like the commitment they have on both sides of the ball is really fun to
Yeah, they're a fun team, and I mean,
see.
like Isaac Ross playing through whatever he's playing through.
Yeah, poor guy.
That was that, but it's like, man, like that's like,
Deshavis get better.
dude, man, like, but even in that too, it's like, I thought like McIntosh, Ross, and Halai all in the lineup in that game, and they were all really good. And it's just like, oh, right, like everyone talks about like all the Wallabies on the Giltinis, and like,
Yeah, there's a little bit of New
the
Zealand flair.
Gilgronis are just sitting here with like, yeah, we got 3 All Blacks guys,
Yeah.
just to let you know.
You know what? I actually, to
They're
be
all
honest with you, I wasn't super like impressed with Halal. I honestly think that you put Rogers in, Cole Davis,
yeah.
Jeff Hassler, when he's healthy again. I think I saw that he doesn't have his cast on his hand anymore.
Oh, no? No? Nice.
I
Alright.
think well, I think I saw them post a video with him not having it on, but I could be wrong. I think that they might be just as serviceable as Frank. I think he's best suited coming off the bench. That's just my personal opinion. From what I've seen of him starting, that's kind of
Yeah. I mean, it's
also
like
Roger
Moon
Waters and Cole have been playing really strong this season. So I
and,
think
like Mooneyham totally living up to hype too.
oh yeah. for
Totally.
sure.
Like, yeah.
How did friggin' Austin pull off having Dodson and Mooneyham? Like that's
Yeah,
just
I don't know. Sam Harris is playing 4D chess apparently. Like, it's
yeah, and
not.
we're just
Yeah, exactly.
well, speaking of head coaches, my goodness, Seattle has made some big,
Big change.
big changes. You know, like we kind of talked about, like things weren't and aren't working for Seattle right now
Yeah.
in their 2021 season.
Well,
So they
what
obviously
are they between since they last won like the Shield? They're what, 2-8?
sounds about right.
Yeah, like, oh man. Like that's when like okay, do you know I'm just trying to think of this off the top of my head now. I didn't like now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been a fun thing to research. When was the last time, if it's ever happened in like North American or elsewhere sports, where a team has won a championship and then finished last the next year?
I feel
Has
like
that
that
ever
might be a good NFL. Like I feel like there's probably an NFL team that did that
what like it,
because
yeah, I mean I have
how
no
much
idea.
yeah.
Like, maybe
Um
like an original 6 air like, I don't know, maybe like
yeah,
the Blackhawks one, like, or something when a bad
yeah.
like, I
So
don't
Seattle has named and I apologize to get his name wrong, but Tula Vuka has been named their interim head coach. Alan Clark is on loan, basically, from the Dallas Jackals, who also lost another coach today. Um, and then Rory Best, uh,
know.
Irish, British and Irish Lions legend, one of my favorite players to watch in the past, decade, is also joining as a technical coach. And they're not kicking Keys Lansing to the curb. He will stay on as the assistant coach and forwards coach. But obviously, management has decided that things aren't working, and they need to move things around. It sounds like from some of the things I've seen that the players are pretty excited about Tulavuka's appointment. He's been part of the Seattle coaching environment in the city and the franchise for a little bit of time now. So I'm excited to see if any of this makes a difference. Again,
Yeah.
when it comes to MLR, Seattle was my first love. They had Phil Mack and Ray Barkwell and Nikai Penny and George Barton. They had all these Canadians in the first year of MLR, and I uh, I just want to see them do well again. I mean, when you've won 2 years in a row, maybe it's okay to have a sucky year, but maybe this changes it. I'm interested to see how you feel about it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think you gotta do something. I mean, like you said, you gotta do something. Um, Tule Vuka, I think, like, he's the director of rugby, so I guess that, like, it makes sense for him to take over, I guess. It's interesting, though, to see Lensing is just he's not, like, out, he's just being dropped to, like, an assistant coach status,
Yeah, and I think that just goes
which is
with like
also interesting because he's the assistant coach for the forwards and the set piece, which you think
mm,
would be, like, Rory Best's bread and butter, like, for, like, a something that you would want him to coach. So that's kind of interesting. Um, so, like, I'm kinda curious how that dynamic will work with the old coach still there. But yeah, like, I mean, I think this is a thing that's just kind of standard across all sports, right? Like, I think if you're an organization where, like, literally the only thing you've known in your existence is championships, like, are yet to have a year where the Seattle Seawolves are not the MLR champion. So I think when you're an organization that knows nothing but championships and you're literally last place in the league, for I guess technically, in as weird as the whole COVID cancellation goes, it's like they're last in the league, I guess 2 years in a row now. Like, they didn't make um like, improvements were not made, the holes were not addressed in the off season, right? So, like, you got to do something, and I
yeah.
think, like, the coaching change is something that you can do. And I'm sure next week's lineup is gonna, or like, the lineup for their next game is gonna look
Yeah,
different.
at this point, you guys start putting in guys that
Yeah, like,
you
switch up
know
all the combinations. Obviously, they got some new signings that haven't played yet. So hopefully some of those guys start showing up and
Yeah.
getting into, and maybe
Good
they can.
seeing Semu Manoa on the field, again, he's a
Yeah.
fun player to watch. So yeah, it's gonna be really interesting watching that whole situation. It's all out.
Mhm.
Speaking of another interesting situation, Rugby Canada has provided an update regarding the fate of John Tate. John Tate has submitted his resignation after that third party investigation has conducted. They have determined that the conduct reference was not behavior that fell within the policy definition of harassment or bullying. Now, and the big thing at the time, so Rugby Canada's we don't the thing is we don't know when these allegations were, and we don't know, you
We
know,
know we know when the complaint was
when was the
officially
complaint.
made. They have, yeah, like the one press release that Rugby Canada put out said that Rugby Canada is updating our community following an independent third party investigation by Win-Win HR Solutions Inc. in response to a complaint received by former and current national
Yes,
senior
on
women's soccer
on
players.
in January, but
I could have
like
just
those
finished reading the sentence, but yeah. But like
no, sorry,
that's when
when
the
the complaint was filed, but we don't know when the actual events like happened, right? Like this could have happened in 2018 or you know
it could have been long and drawn out.
exactly,
And but
exactly.
then,
So
like,
so that's the big
I think right now, based on what Rugby Canada has put out, we still don't really know a whole lot of
we
information
don't
about it. I think with what, like, it's interesting to see that they were saying it's like they, how the investigation determined that the conduct was not something that, I guess, fell within their policies on harassment and bullying, but at the same time, the investigation was like, it's probably best to not
to
bring
not
him
be
back.
yeah.
Which is interesting, but that kind of tells me that like something definitely happened here, even if we don't know what. Um, and it just, yeah, it's kind of a bizarre. I guess it's a bizarre outcome to both kind of, go with like he shouldn't be the coach anymore, because I'm assuming the players would want nothing to do with him being the coach is
Yeah,
probably a
and
big
I think the big
reason.
point is that these were 37
Yeah, it's a lot. That's
national
a lot
senior
of players.
women's sevens teams. Like
That's
that's
a
a
lot of
lot
players.
of people. It's not one or two or a handful.
Yeah.
And so it frustrates me, Derek, that I see that the people are making it sound like these were baseless claims, and that's just not the case. That's not the case, guys. And I know that John has been part of Rugby Canada for a long time. He himself was a national team player, and um, he is beloved in a lot of the rugby circles out west. But at the same time, we need to support our athletes. At the end of the day, we are nothing without our athletes. And John felt that this was it. He submitted his resignation. I know that his hands were kind of tied, but he could have toughed it out, seeked counseling with his players to see if how they could fix the relationship. And he also decided that this was the end of the relationship, and he wanted
Yeah.
to pursue other professional opportunities. You know, we don't know what was happening behind
Yeah,
closed doors. So I just want people
I don't
just
wanna speculate on what's happening,
exactly, and I
but
want people
or
just
what
to
happened.
remember that. I looking at comments on this on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, like we have to remember that we don't know what was going on. So you
Yeah,
cannot make
it's
these
tough.
knee-jerk reactions about this. And I think that's really
I'm
all we're going to
I
say about it because
Yeah, I am curious to see, like, I hope, or, like, I guess I'd be curious to hear, like, a statement from the players directly
exactly,
in
yeah.
some
Like,
way,
what,
just to
what does
kind of
Giselle
maybe
Landry have to
put
say
some.
about this?
Yeah,
She's
because
been a captain for a few years.
it did say that they were gonna do another investigation after the Olympics. So maybe we find out what happened then. I think right now the two things that are clear is that something has happened, and the players on the women's sevens team were very unhappy with whatever it was that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And as a result, John Tate is no longer the coach of the women's sevens team.
Yeah,
And we're like, so I think
that's all we're gonna go on
yeah.
for sure.
So I
To move on
I'm
to
sure the full story will come out at some point.
hopefully.
And
To move on, some more bad news. And we're taking this overseas. Reported by America's Rugby News, Taylor Paris is out for 6 months with an Achilles injury. This
that's
puts
tough.
Taylor out of the running for the qualifier tournaments. He's been in rough shape with injuries throughout his career, so we hope that Taylor recovers pretty well because he was having an amazing
Yeah.
season, and he played so well that they offered him an extension and he took it. So Taylor, we hope that you recover well. You know, we're all thinking about you. This is not what you want to hear after a guy has a great season. Um, Hoping for the best for you, buddy. In some exciting Canadian news, another young Canadian has been picked up by a French academy. Kieran Breen, a center that has been a part of Canada's U20 program, is being picked up by US Carcion. Um, really exciting to see another Canadian move on. I mean, there's only so many spots in MLR.
Like it's nice to it's good to see, like, young Canadians getting some contracts, overseas again. And yeah, it's kind of, I think, between like MLR and guys signing overseas and stuff, it's gonna ultimately, I think it's gonna usher in kind of like a new era of Canadian rugby where
Yeah,
hopefully we start ascending the world rankings again. Just with the amount of guys that we have playing in the professional ranks. So
yeah.
it's always good to see when guys get signed, whether it be in the MLR or overseas. So, happy for Kieran, and best of luck in France.
Um, let's move on and finish off the show with our predictions.
Yeah, I'm so mad about my predictions from last week too.
Man, I
It-
was 2-3.
I was gonna say, no, you sucked. You just flat out
I
sucked
was
last week.
I was in
Two
rough
and
shape.
four, by the way.
2-4. Oh
But
fuck, even worse.
yeah.
Gosh.
Oh man, yeah, you were terrible. I'm mad because I was like on this podcast being like, I don't trust Houston's defense. But I still for some reason picked Houston despite saying I don't trust Houston's defense. And then Houston's defense played like Houston's defense and despite scoring 43 points, they still lost the game by 7.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, like, that serves me right, I guess, on that one. With Houston's
Yeah.
but
All right. Well, let's
I
start with
could have
the
been
first
6-0. That's why I'm upset. I could have been 6-0.
Were you 5
I
and 1? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was 5-1. Yeah, the
Wow, good for
Houston Utah
you.
game was the only one
Wow.
that I
I
got
think
wrong.
that's the best like record of 1 week. So
Oh
good job,
yeah,
buddy.
for us, yeah, for sure.
For us. Okay.
But I'm mad because I
Predict-
could have been 6-0, but I wasn't because
yeah.
I
So
didn't backtrack on Houston's pick. Like you even
so
suggested I do, and I still
yeah.
no.
So Stu already put his predictions in, and I'm sure we'll sync up a little video of him explaining why he's wrong or right.
All right, guys, these are my picks for round 7. So we have San Diego versus New England. Both teams coming off big losses over the past round. But I'm going to have to go with San Diego. I think home advantage will play into them as it did against Utah. It'll be interesting to see. I hope New England can give them at least a tough contest. But, New England haven't won a game for a while now. And, yeah, so I'm going to have to go with San Diego. LA versus DC. I mean, LA are still on a continual run. I don't think DC will be stopping it anytime soon. I am hoping that they will be able to provide a good contest, but yeah, it's going to be LA all again. NOLA versus Toronto. Toronto obviously don't have the best track record in New Orleans, regardless of which team they're playing, but I think they've finally come into their stride. I think they know what they need to do, and this will be the one to get off the monkey's back. So yeah, it's going to have to be Toronto. And Seattle versus New York. This will be Seattle's first home game this season. But that said, I don't think they have it in them at the moment. They've had their worst start to a season so far. and I think New York will be feeling a bit hard done by the refereeing decisions last week, and they'll want to get out there. They want to prove that they're still a team for consideration in both the Eastern Conference and MLR as a whole. So I'm going to go with New York. Now it's on to the toonie. As always, we will be doing heads for the home team and tails for the away team. All right. So San Diego versus New England. It's going for New England. All right. LA versus DC. It is LA. Home for heads. All right. NOLA versus Toronto is going for Toronto as well. And Seattle versus New York. That is going for Seattle. So those are my picks, and those are the Toonies' picks. So make of that what you will.
Derek, our first game is San Diego versus New England. Who do you got?
Oh,
This is a toughie.
I know.
Toughie.
Who's at home? San Diego?
Yes.
I'll take San Diego just because they're at home.
Okay. I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna go with the Toonie. I'm gonna go New England.
I was gonna say I'm gonna pick San Diego because they're at home, and hopefully they hashtag free Mike Smith.
LA versus DC.
I mean, again, it's like it's interesting kind of watching LA and stuff. Like it's interesting seeing like some media or people trying to be like, okay, maybe LA's weakness is this, and maybe LA's weakness is this, and LA's weakness is this. But if there's with the way they're playing when they're putting up 21 points before the 5-minute mark, it's like it's kind of demoralizing, even if you know what the weakness is. You know what I mean? And I mean, even everyone knows that kryptonite is Superman's weakness, but that you got to be able to use the kryptonite properly in order to actually do that.
You need to not be able to fumble it around and draw.
Yeah, exactly. It's not enough to know what LA's kryptonite is. You have to figure out how to actually use it against them too. And I'm not sure a team has figured that out yet. Again, like I said last week, I think this is the easiest pick now. It's just
LA. Yeah, I picked LA too. The Toonie picked LA. Stu picked LA.
See, even the Toonie knows. The Toonie is like, there's no way I'm not picking LA because even the Toonie probably didn't even flip. It probably just like landed flat on.
It went up and slapped down, and then flipped over when it realized it was wrong.
Exactly. It was just like it controlled itself in the air, and it's like, wait, this is an LA game. It's obviously.
NOLA versus Toronto.
I think Toronto is kind of approaching that territory where they were last year, where I was like, I'm never going to pick against them. And I think not that we pick against them anyways, because we're
not Stu.
Yeah, exactly. We always pick Toronto, but it's like, I think genuinely Toronto is putting themselves back in that category of like, why would you ever pick against this team? Even if you're not an Arrows fan, why would you do it? So
yeah, for sure.
Toronto over NOLA.
Okay. Ooh, this one is a spicy one too. Seattle at home versus New York.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing I said last week. Until Seattle shows me something, and I mean, hopefully,
but it's at home,
and
it's got the fans are gonna fire them up, and listen, I'm picking New York because I already made no. I already made my not safe bet with New England. I'm laying my horse there.
But Dan,
I'm trying to convince you. I think that you went with San Diego. I think you should. This is the one you go for because they're gonna be at home.
Okay.
Maybe some of their new guys come in and bolster the lineup.
Maybe.
I think this is the game.
I don't know. No, New York.
All right, fine. You can pick New York.
That wasn't a convincing argument at all, then.
No, that's fine.
Quinn Nawadi 2 tries.
Ooh, okay. I like that. All right, well, that's all we have for tonight. Kind of kicking it old school tonight, Derek. If anybody wants to listen to any of our previous podcasts, we've got a little catalog of interviews from Canada's rugby players here in North America. Feel free to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All our links to our podcasts are on there. We're on YouTube. We also put out the video version if you are more privy to watching the podcast than listening. That's also up to you. And hopefully, you know what? I'm excited to see these next few weeks. The Arrows got some stiff competition.